Creating stories takes heart. Watch, like, comment, and subscribe to support. They say habits die hard, and for me it was forgetting to lock the door before bed. My routine was turn off the lights, check my phone, then drift off to a restless sleep. But around 2 a.m., I was awakened by the sound of faint footsteps. My heart skipped a beat when I glanced at the door. It was cold, swaying slightly in the night air. I was alone. A shadow moved across the hallway, and that was when I realized someone was there. I never envisioned sharing this yet. Life has an approach to tossing you into the unforeseen. I am Elise and I'm 44 years old. I've been a single parent for a long time, bringing up my child alone. His name is Lenny and he's currently 22. We've generally been close, both of us making a difference each other through life's highs and lows. One evening something unforeseen occurred. Lenny looked truly worn out and said he didn't feel well. He'd been buckling down, what's more, concentrating on a ton, and he looked worn out. I let him know he could rest on in my bed for some time. If he had any desire to rest, it was a cold night in our home. Takes some time to heat up. So I put a weighty cover over him. At first it appeared ordinary, simply a mother helping her child. Yet then, as I lay close to him, I felt him closer. He'd probably been attempting to get warm, and I didn't appreciate it. However, at that point he folded his arms over me, delicately pulling me close, like he utilized when he was more youthful. I was a little amazed. Yet I let it be. He presumably simply required solace. I could feel his warmth close to me, his consistent relaxing stand by, kindly remember to like, offer. Furthermore, buy in, and assuming that you're agreeable, go ahead and share your romantic tale with us. We'd very much want to hear it. Proceed. The tree. As we lay there, I felt Lenny's breathing stoppage, like he was falling, snoozing. The room was calm to such an extent that I could hear my own pulse. It felt abnormal, yet in addition, so quieting. I didn't move, not having any desire to upset him. And I let myself know it was only a mother of giving solace to her child. However, after a while he moved again, moving even nearer to me under the sweeping. I felt his arm fold over me a piece more tight, and I froze briefly, uncertain of what to think. Part about me needed to express something, to pull away. However, another piece of me remained still. There was a pressure all around that I couldn't hear. Furthermore, I didn't have the foggiest idea why I felt this. Well, then something happened that astounded me. I felt something hard under the cover. It was unforeseen. And my heart began to race. I attempted to remain quiet, to advise myself that he was simply my child. Perhaps he didn't actually acknowledge it himself. I lay there, attempting to disregard the sentiments that was beginning to develop inside me. I let myself know it was simply a weird off-kilter second that would pass. Yet as the minutes went by, I understood that things were unique. Furthermore, I didn't have the foggiest idea how to deal with it. Lenny remained nearby me, his breathing consistent in any case. I could experience the glow between us developing. I needed to move, to say something happy, to break the strain. Yet the words wouldn't come. I felt caught at that time. I'm certain of what I was in any event feeling then. Lenny moved somewhat, lifting his head to take a gander at me. His eyes held a delicate quality I hadn't seen before, a look that made me feel both protected and anxious at the equivalent time. He said nothing, yet his look appeared to inquire as to whether all was great. I attempted to grin, trusting it would ease the weird inclination. Yet it just made the quietness feel further. Lenny's hands remained on my arm, warm and delicate, consistent. I could feel his fingertips delicately moving, nearly absent-mindedly. It was something insignificant in any case. Each touch appeared to start something inside me that I proved unable to ignore. I kept my breathing consistent, difficult not to allow him to see that my heart was hustling. I didn't have the foggiest idea what to do or say. So I just lay there, feeling totally enveloped with the abnormal association between us. I let myself know this was only a mother soothing her child. Nothing more. Yet, in that calm, with only the two eyes under the clear it, my psyche continued to turn with considerations that felt wrong, yet I couldn't drive them away. He was my yet lying there with him so close, I could feel something more profound, a closeness I didn't comprehend. I felt a combination of disarray and warmth, an unforeseen inclination that kept me still. Lenny didn't appear to see my battle. He just remained adjacent to me, his hand moving delicately, soothing, as though it was the most normal thing on the planet. His relaxing was quiet, his eyes shut once more, and I contemplated whether he was nodding off. However, then his hand moved, moving gradually up my arm. I felt a chill go through me, and he opened his eyes. Looking directly into mine, there was an inquiry in his look, as assuming he was inquiring as to whether this was all right. If he felt the very odd draw that he did, I murmured his name, scarcely ready to get the word out. I needed to stop this as well, pull away and make some distance. However, some way or another, I was unable to move the strain between us. With serious areas of strength for excessively a calm storm working in the quietness, not one or the other of us talked. However, the air was loaded up with implicit words, things we both felt however couldn't force ourselves to say then, as though it was the most normal then. At that point, he inclined in nearer, my heart beat, my psyche dashing, yet I proved unable to force myself to pull back. I felt torn, gotten between my job as his mom and abnormal sentiments that had surfaced as he inclined nearer. I felt my breath get and each thought I'd disappeared, leaving just that second between us. Lenny's hand laid delicately on my shoulder, now his fingers waited, assuming that he also was faltering. The world around us felt far off, and everything I could zero in on was the glow of his presence, the consistent dot of his heart that I could nearly hear. Briefly shut my eyes, attempting to quiet myself, told myself to back to break the closeness that felt so confounding. And while sob overpowering, however, at that point I felt murmur hand tenderly move up, brushing a strand of hair away from my face. It was such a straightforward, mindful signal, but then it made my heart throb in ways I proved unable to comprehend. I woke up, and there he was checking out at me, with such non-abrasiveness, such trust. His face was so close and I could see each little detail. The minuscule spots, the delicate bend of his mouth, the manner in which his eyes looked through mine. There was a weakness in his look that coordinated my own, and I could see that he was simply as lost at this time as I was. We remained like that to spend it in the tranquil, as though time itself had halted. My mind was a tornado of inquiries, of uncertainty, of things I was unable to get a handle on yet. My body wouldn't move. I felt drawn to him, this individual I had raised. But he felt like somebody altogether new to me at that time. Similarly, as I naturally suspected, we'd remain frozen in that quietness for eternity. Lenny pulled back marginally, breaking the daze. He turned away, practically humiliated, furthermore let out a precarious snicker, scouring the back of his neck. It took me back to reality briefly, causing me to understand exactly the way that nearby we'd been. I took a profound breath, attempting to quiet the feelings inside me, trusting he hadn't seen. Sorry, mother, he said delicately, his voice loaded up with vulnerability. I didn't intend to make things bizarre. He stayed away from my G, and I could see a clue of variety on his cheeks. As was he battling with something similar, disarray. I needed to comfort him, to let him know that all was well, yet the words stalled out in my throat. I didn't have the foggiest idea what to express, and for the first time in a drawn-out period of time, I felt off-kilter around my own child. I connected about putting my hand on his shoulder, what's more, gave him a little grin, trusting it would facilitate the pressure. It's good, Lenny, I said, my voice delicate and consistent. It's simply, well, it's been us for so long, with both most likely inclination. A minimal lost haunted, and I could see a glimmer of help in his eyes. Then similarly, as the pressure began to blur, the doorbell rang. The unexpected commotion shocked you both back to the current, breaking whatever spell had been between us. I immediately got up, feeling my heart actually hustling, and gone to the entryway, appreciative for the interference. When I opened it, I found our neighbor Imprint remaining there. Imprint had forever been agreeable, somebody I could rely on when it required help. He grinned, be that as it may. His eyes waited on me a piece longer than expected, and I understood. I actually had that abnormal energy from the second with Lenny. I did to get it together, trusting he didn't notice anything surprising. Hello, Elise, he said, his voice warm. I thought I'd come by and check whether you wanted anything. I know it's been a piece colder of late, and I can assist with any warming issues on the off chance that you've got them. I felt a weird flood of help wash over me, and briefly I let myself loosen up. Gracious, thank you, Imprint, I answered, grinning. Really, the cap house gets a piece crisp. I'd truly see the value in it. Mock ventured inside, and I could feel Lenny watching us from the foyer, his face mixed up. I looked back at him, and for a second, I recognized something easily, a gleam of something like envy. However, he attempted to conceal it. Astounded me, leaving me contemplating whether he was feeling more than he needed to concede. Imprint moved around, checking the heat, asked me inquiries about how things were at home. We made casual discussion, however. He continued to look at Lenny, who remained silent, watching us both with a peculiar force. I could detect his distress. What's more, it added another layer of pressure. Through I felt torn, got between eating to ease things with Imprint and monitoring Lenny's presence, his look never leaving us. Following a couple of moments, Mark went to me with a comforting grin. All right. Everything looks great here, Alyssa. Simply call, assuming you want any more assistance. Expressed gratitude toward him, and as he left, I felt the pressure among me and Lenny develop even thicker. I shut the entryway, going to see him remaining there, his arms crossed most. Noteworthy articulation. Serious are you, Oakley? I asked, attempting to figure out what was going through his brain mind. He shrugged, looking ill, his voice calm. Better believe it, Tiom. Fine, simply didn't anticipate that imprint should stop me. That is all. I needed to contact them to comprehend what was occurring. Between us, yet before I could say mac else, he strolled past me, heading to his room without another word. The entryway shut delicately behind him, and I remained there, feeling a peculiar combination of help, disarray, and a waiting sense of something incomplete. I remained there, gazing at Lenny's shut entryway, feeling a throb. I couldn't completely comprehend. Mimond was whirling with all that had simply happened. The closeness weshered, the manner in which his look had weight at the point when imprint was there, and the bizarre unspoken pressure that felt as was it simply holding back to rise again. I went to my room and sat on the edge of Thebes, replaying all that I knew we couldn't disregard it perpetually, yet I moreover know how to confront it all at once. I heard a delicate thump at my entryway. My heart bounced, somewhat contemplating whether Lenny had her back come in. I expressed a tempting to keep my voice consistent. Lenny opened the entryway and ventured inside, his face garbled. He came over and sat close to him, peering down at his hands. We sat there peacefully, briefly, the air weighty with all that unsaid mother heat. Last started his voice, very nearly a murmury. Don't have any idea what's happening. I'm heartbroken as some. I made things abnormal. Before I just followed off, appearing to battle with his words. I put my hand on his givenjet, a delicate press. Lenny, it's awkward. Both, quite possibly we're both lost right presently. It's been simplious for such a long time. And some of the time things can get confounding. He gestured, his look still in all fours. He gazed toward me, his eyes loaded up with a blend of feelings I couldn't exactly peruse. However, it felt different, he said delicately, as though who was hesitant to just let it out. I didn't have the foggiest idea how to answer. I felt heart throb with that some disarray, and briefly I contemplated contacting embrace him, told him no, all future. Well, however, I didn't know whether it was what he really wanted, or assuming it would make things considerably more confounded. So all things considered, I just stayed there, YOLOing the quiet to represent the two of you sat. Long last I took a full breath, and looked at him. Lenny, perhaps we simply need to make a stride back and contemplate that. I said delicately, it's all right to feel close. But on the other hand, it's okay to require space to sort things out. He gestured gradually, however, at that point. In an unexpected rising move, he rested his head on my shoulder, very much like he used to when he was more youthful. It felt soothing, comfortable, yet with that unusual edge to it that I proved unoblique limit. I felt my heart relax, and I put my arm around him, pulling him close in a way that had a real sense of security, despite the fact that I knew the inquiries between us weren't completely doused with serious consequences regarding the initial time in a while. I felt that perhaps we didn't have to have every one of the responses right now. We could approach it slowly and carefully, sorting things out together, regardless of whether it was confounded. And as we stayed there, just clutching each other, I felt a sense of quiet, a peaceful expectation that, come what may, we would view as our way through this together. We remained that way, sitting unobtrusively together, as though all the disarray between us could vanish by simply buying clothes. Yet, where it counts, I realized it wasn't that straightforward. The glow between us was consoling, yet disrupting, like an inclination just underneath the surface that not one or the other of us could overlook inevitably. Lenny creating stories takes heart. Watch, like, comment, and subscribe to support.